What's up everyone? So here I am again with another video. This one's going to be an update towards the pharmaceuticals, but to this list I added SRNE, and to just break it down, I'm going to just go over simply of what's been going on with these stocks, how they've been moving, and any news we can expect. So I'll start off with SRNE. And if you've been looking at this one for the last couple weeks, hopefully you didn't buy the spike out of FOMO. But just to start off, I'll get into their chart. They have been pretty low, but I'll only go back towards 2013 because the way I look at these charts is I'll look at their last split factor, their last split date, and just look up until that timeline, because anything before that, it's kind of hard for me to trust the chart. So in 2013, in August of 2013, they had a split factor of 25 shares into one. So just to look back in 2013, right in August, they were right around, it's 2014, so they're right around $7. So ever since August of 2013, they've been from a $7 range and have gone up towards above $20. So that's what I'm seeing here. And in 2015, there was another outbreak. I can't really remember if it was MERS or SARS. But yeah, so let me see. So to look at their chart, they have been moving a lot because of the recent news that they have an antibody or therapeutic treatment that they're planning to go into, I believe, phase 1. They've had a lot of volume since then. So if you bought in the day before that announcement, or a week, any time before that announcement, then you're pretty comfortable where you're at. You probably have like a mid $2 range. And if you bought it in pre-market, I believe it was nearly $10. And then once the market opened, I think it started off like right here in the sixes. So yeah, it's been selling off, but for this last week, it's been holding steady. Now it did have a spike here. I believe this is probably the spike from when the CEO was saying that we're not a pump and dump, that we're a real deal, supporting his company, because as we've seen, Inovio and Moderna have taken hits before because of the accusations that they get that they're not really giving clear results, or it can't be true what they're saying. Pretty much with SRNE, the way I see it is that people bought in, and it's just been having sell-off, and now they have these class action lawsuits for the losses. And it's something we've seen before. We've seen it with Inovio. We're starting to see it with Moderna, but if you're going to buy in, I suggest that you don't start off with how many shares you want to have. If anything, start off with a percentage and then work your way in, because this looks like it's going to keep on selling off. I'll show you the chart, the way that I'm reading this chart. But then again, this is not financial advice. I do not recommend you buy or sell any of these stocks that we talk about. But here we go. To get into detail, the way I see this is, let me see. Yeah, the mid twos, right? It's what it was before the announcement. Now, here it shows the 670, but in pre-market, I believe it was in the $10. And now for the last week, it's been holding in the $5 to $6 range. Now, I don't think it'll last here for a while. It might move up to about $7 and then come back down, simply because people might see this as a dip, might buy in, and they'll be like, okay, cool, let's buy in some more. And honestly, the way that they move, the way I've seen stocks move after announcement is they get a lot of volume, but after time they slow down until the next announcement. Now, since they recently announced that they have an antibody or therapeutic to try out or to go into phase 1, we probably won't hear about anything other than partnerships. So until that news comes out, if you bought in, I recommend you hold, even if it comes down, unless you want to buy in some more. But if you look at their 1 year chart, they just have this pattern of, actually, I'll show you the 5 year. They just have this pattern of moving up and then just selling off. So then, yeah, they'll move up and sell off. Clearly, right here, you'll see that they moved up and sold off. So they have that pattern pretty often. I mean, of course, it's easy to look at this chart and it looks like it's really constant. But then you got to think that this is a 5 year chart that I have up, so this is months apart. And yeah, so pretty much you'll see here in 2019, early 2019, it had a spike. Here we go, $6. Most likely in pre-market it was above $6, and then it just sold off for about, oh dang, sold off for, yeah, for about 6 months. And here we go again. People bought in early this year and then sold off for a couple months, and now here we are again. So yeah, early this year people bought in and sold off. Okay, 1 second. Sold off, hit the low mid ones, and now people bought in, and most likely the way I see this is it's going to be on the way back down. Sure, it'll have a spike up to maybe like here, like the $6, maybe up here to the $7 range, depending how the CEO or how the company starts to present themselves based off of the sell-off. But yeah, the way I see this is gonna have to come back down at least for like the next month into like the low fours. Then again, depending on what kind of news we see. But yeah, this one for now, the way I see it, it's gonna come down pretty much. Oh, let me draw it out. Here we go. So this is where I see it. This has to be like a support line, and just like previous sell-offs, we'll see it come from a low share value, come back up, and then come back nearly back to that share value. Now here they are. So they were here in the mid twos, shot up. Now I feel like they might come back down close to the share value, but then again, people that bought in, they'll probably want to buy more, or depending on the news, other people will start to buy in. And yeah, so for right now, that's how I see SRNE moving. And yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what kind of news they put out. And for GILD, they are starting to move again. Of course, if you look at their chart, they just move up and down a lot. But if you look at a couple weeks ago, they were hitting their lows. And as of lately, they've been announcing some progress, and sure enough, it's going to move their share value. Now, if you look back about 5 years, you'll see that they're above 100, and in time, I feel like we will see them in that range as well. Now, just to quickly jump into Moderna, they're fairly new. I think they IPO'd in 2019. So this is a recent progress. This is them starting fresh. And of course, if you bought in early in this year, then you're most likely just holding. If you sold off in the 90 range when it was here, it doesn't show here, but in pre-market, if you were watching, it was well in the 90 range. I think it hit like 96 tops. But yeah, then of course they had the news come out, but then they had their public offering, or they sold some shares, like $1 billion worth, and then the news came out that their early stage results weren't promising, and of course, so it just kept on going. So hopefully, if you were watching it, you weren't buying in these prices, and if you saw that they had a public offering, then hopefully you really didn't buy in, because usually after public offerings, they just tend to sell off. And I believe it hit the $47 range, and now it's on its way back up. Now it looks like it's going to start to recover, but after each recovery, there's always a dip. So just to put this into perspective, let me take that away. Oh. Come on. So that looks like support, and if anything, depending on the kind of news that we see, they'll most likely just keep trending up and hopefully recover to their previous prices in the last couple of weeks. Now, NVAX, same deal. If you just how you saw Moderna, they reach a certain price and then they sell off. Now with them, I don't really trust their share value. I don't really feel they're gonna hold it, simply because they've been staying pretty low, and their share value went up solely based off of the funding that they started to receive at this point once they announced it, and it just went crazy, which is odd because others like Moderna and Inovio that had funding from Bill Gates, and also I believe Inovio got funding from CEPI, and they didn't move anything nearly like them. Of course, Inovio had a report from Citron that kept them down, but even after that faded away, they still didn't move like this. Now, Inovio is at a further stage in the testing compared to, not testing, into their phase testing. But they're nowhere near the share value like NVAX. So that's why I feel like NVAX right now it's risky. I wouldn't move anything. I wouldn't touch them right now. They still seem like they have to sell off simply because they're holding their share value based off of funding and that they started phase 1 when Moderna has been in phase 1 and has funding, and then Inovio had funding and already started phase 1 way before NVAX. So I mean, I was holding NVAX in early February, but once I happened to buy the spike and then sold once the share value recovered, but didn't see this coming. So this is pretty much how I see NVAX playing out. Let me draw this trending line. Actually, trash that. So here we go. Oh, come on. This is how I see them right now. They're well above their trending line. So if anything, we'll see a sell-off. And then if we do see a sell-off, of course we'll see the class action lawsuits for people trying to recover their losses. And unless they release any news on their testing, but then again, they just started phase 1, so we might not see that for a while unless they announce other partnerships. Now that's NVAX, and then Inovio. I gotta get that out of there. A while ago, they kind of gave us a timeline of when they'll be expecting their. Okay. I'll just figure out how to get that off some other time. But yeah, Inovio gave a timeline pretty much of when they'll be reporting and when they'll be doing their testing. And this was in early February that they announced that. And I believe early May, they did stick to their word. They did start phase 1. I believe it's actually towards end of April, beginning of May. And yeah, they started moving. So, if anything, we might see progress on their end compared to NVAX. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Just want to give another update on these pharmaceuticals. So, if you like what you heard on these videos, let me know what you think. And yeah, thanks for watching.